What's up, queens? Welcome to Black Queens Uncut. Grab your wine, your vape, or whatever you need to relax because we're about to get into some queen chat. I'm Monique Lovelace. Ladies, let them know who you are.
Hi, y'all. I'm Mariel Turner.
Hey, guys. What's up? It's Kiki Boom Boom.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's TK Trinidad.
And today we are talking about news bias, especially with the election coming up. As you know, our episodes, we've been kind of covering that. So we have our guest, which I'm super excited about. And Mariel is the senior editor at TheGrio, and she focuses on entertainment, culture, and politics. So she also has her own, she also is a co-host of the Dear Culture podcast and the Grio's Top 3 Daily Series. So we're glad to have her. She's a Detroit native, which is my Midwest sister. Yay! So we're glad to have you for this episode. It's going to be super dope, I feel. And I just want to get into it and see how everyone is feeling, as we're all in media pretty much. How's everybody feeling about what's going on in the news, how the news is reported, and everything that's going on news-wise? Because I feel like it's gotten crazy. It's just gotten all out crazy.
It's a mess. I mean, I think for me, I never was a fan of the news, but I knew I watched it to try to get the most important details. I'm tuned in more now, but it's just a hot mess. It's like what's ill? I was just about to say what's real, what's fake. Ill. No, I don't mean that. I meant to say ill. I feel like one of those people now. Fake news. Ill. I did not mean that. I think I meant to say who has like more common sense and who doesn't. I think that's what I'm trying to say, because it's like the news and the media, they're just like losing their minds. Mm-hmm. And I think I hold them responsible for 4 years ago. I hold them responsible for humanizing that a-hole that sits in the White House. I hold them responsible for not holding him and a lot of other people's feet to the fire. I don't know. I just hate the news, but I know where we have it because it's so important and we need to know these things. And I love that, we do get it on social media and we're able to get it now, but I'm just like, it's just a hot mess. It's like everyone's beefing with each other. I don't know how Fox News is even legal to be on TV. Like things like that. Like I just like, why hasn't anyone pulled the plug? I just can't. Sorry, y'all.
Can we call it news anymore? Like a lot of the stuff is, personality based and based off of what you like, what you're feeling that day, or I mean, CNN is a perfect example. At one point, it was like you're getting the news, and now it's just like depending on who's hosting, you're gonna get their opinion and how they feel about something. It's like, I don't really care about your opinion. Like, just tell me the facts because that's what I want. But even no matter where you go, it's all based off of who's paying the bills for that network. So you're not even getting like the legit concrete facts, and it's just it's frustrating I'm sure it's frustrating for everybody who's in the industry, because it's just one of those things where you're asking questions and people can't even answer it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think one of the biggest frustrations about the news today is that there is really people don't really know the difference between opinion and news. And so much of what you're getting from news networks and from news outlets is opinion. It's op-eds, it's opinion-based shows, it's not actual factual news. And I think a lot of people, the consumers of news, don't know where to go to find the news that they want. And they're quick to be like, no one's covering this, but they don't really seek out Black news organizations. They don't seek out local news organizations. They just base it off of cable news. So it's just an oversaturation, I think, of like so much content, and people don't know where to go to get real news.
Right. I agree with that. I feel like that it's just overly saturated, and it has to, and even though all of us are pretty much in entertainment, so I hate to say this, but it's overly saturated with a lot of celeb news, mm-hmm. which really doesn't inform us on anything, honestly. So I do, and Kiki, you don't want to call it fake news? Cause your favorite president.
I can't believe I said that.
Favorite president.
Oh my God, I hate that. I hate that term, and I hate how he is able to villainize like the media and like the way that they're trying to actually do their job. I hate that part of it, but I do get mad that they don't like hold him accountable. So I am happy that I did see a few press people who are just fed up. And I'm happy that I've seen a few reporters that were like, look, like that one guy that asked him the question and was like, what are you going to regret? Like, do you regret the lies that you told? Like, I wish more reporters did that. I'm like, why are you guys scared of this guy? Or even when he was being super racist when the coronavirus came out, and I'm happy that the Asian reporter called him out because she's like, why are you even looking at me? Like, what are you doing? So I can't believe I almost said fake news. That was totally by accident. I think in my mind, I was trying to say, like, how can we figure out who has more common sense? But I just hate him, that I hate that he created that. And people believe it. People genuinely believe that the news is not real. So I apologize. I am not a Trump supporter, for the love of God. I am not a Republican. I hate that orange man. So please, please, please. I'm sorry for even saying that. I apologize. It was my accident.
I find it so funny because I like the word fake news.
Well, I mean, some of it is. It's kind of like it's
yes.
Instead of fake, you can say interpretation, because depending on who you're talking to, you know, Fox News will say something and then somebody else will come like all the way left and, you know, add in some other facts that, you know, makes it look good. And it's just like, can I just get what the facts are? Like, can I just get that? Can I get like just the meat? I don't want any of the extra stuff.
Right.
And it's frustrating. Like it's people's interpretation of what's happening. You can read the same story and can read the same story 10 different versions and get 10 different stories of the same story. And it's like, wait, did she kill him or didn't she kill him? Like, who killed who?
Right.
And it's frustrating.
Yeah,
I think it's so funny because, oh, sorry, go on, Mariel.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just going to say, I feel like in terms of fake news, it's just so funny because if you look at the first election, Trump was really coasting as far as like getting the tough questions, as far as anybody being like, hey, this was a lie that you said. What can you please clarify? So for him to be constantly like, fake news, fake news, fake news, like it was only very recently that journalists have started to like step up and actually kind of push him on the lies that he said. So it's like, why are you big mad about fake news, sir? Like, you have some pretty good, decent coverage up until fairly recently. So, yeah.
Which, when you bring a point, Mariel, which is funny that you say that because I remember I'm from New York. So he's all over the place in New York City. But I remember when the 5 young boys were arrested for a crime that they didn't do, his ass was all up in the news and he put out an ad in the New York. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it wasn't fake news then for you, but now it's fake news because these reporters are holding you accountable for the lies that you're telling. And when you weren't at the beginning, like you said, you were coasting, it was great. But now, because everyone's like, hey, actually, so about that molestation case, you're like, wait, it's fake news. Now it's fake. And now your fan base is going with it.
Right. I feel like it's so crazy that he gets the opportunity to pick and choose. First of all, let's go back to this. Let's rewind back to this. Fox News he's even starting to get on Fox News' nerves. Okay, now that is even showing. Do I believe that they report biases? Yes. They're definitely one that I don't listen to, that I hate getting on. I don't agree with half of the shit that they do or say. And they have some crazy reporters on there. But, you know, some people may relate to that. So be it. But it's funny because we do want to keep, like y'all have both made points, we do want to keep those people going to the White House or reporting as far as not having the fake news and having those journalistic skills come back to really report. But he keeps kicking everybody out. Anytime they make him mad, they can't really report. Like, one day my mom was on CNN. She's like, hey, I got to get off the phone because I'm about to watch your crazy... We go back and forth. She's like, I'm about to watch your crazy president get on. And she was like, waiting. And she's like, it's not showing. He's not coming on. And I was like, well, turn it to Fox News. And they were showing him on Fox News, but not CNN because he hadn't let anybody in CNN in. So it's kind of like, this is my first question. Does this interfere within us as journalists? First Amendment. Alexa, off.
Alexa said, I'll let you know.
Does this interfere into our journalistic skills or even just being journalists, our First Amendment?
You know what? I think at this point I'm actually okay with it, because it's like anytime you ask him something, it's 9 times out of 10 not even going to be factual. And so I think as people in the media, it's become our responsibility not to just say Trump said X, but if it's something that's not true, to just blatantly call that out as a lie. And if he doesn't want people to say, hey, that's a lie, and therefore we're not covering him, that's fine by me. Like, Les Trump is better. Like, he can stay with Fox. They can listen to what he has to say, and everybody else can get real factual facts that will help them, make decisions and know what's going on in the world.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost pointless in interviewing him or talking to him, because he tweets all the time. He's like the Daily Show. Trevor Noah said it perfectly. He's like that evil villain who gives you the plan anyway. Like, he told us that if he votes another Supreme Court justice, he's going to make sure that he votes her or votes that person so they can get rid of Roe versus Wade. It's just like, he tells us the plan. So we really don't need to interview him. I think what we really need to do is fact check and then put it in places where everybody can see. Because it's like, if you read the Washington Post, then you read the Washington Post, but the likelihood of somebody watching Fox News and reading the Washington Post, highly unlikely. So it's kind of like putting those facts and kind of finding a creative way to get it into the zeitgeist of people who are, lack of a better word, sheep, who just, follow and just read and listen to whatever.
What do y'all feel? I think this goes good into this. What do y'all feel is a telltale sign of fake news?
Fox News. Listen, because I think about it like them, it's like they don't even give the facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, the news, when you look at the local news, sometimes it's heartbreaking, sometimes it sucks, but it's the news. It's what's happening today. You may not agree with it, but it's the news. Mm-hmm. I feel like when you listen to people like that on Fox News, when they give their opinion, and clearly we know it's a Republican opinion, and I know not all Republicans watch Fox News, but that's who they are. And a lot of it is just bias, and it's not real. And a lot of times people call them out on it, and they're like, no, this is what we want to say. That's horrible. Because then that base, they believe everything. I watched a few interviews where people will go in, trying to be funny, but they will interview like Trump fans, and half of the times they don't even know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. They believe a lot of the stuff that Trump is saying. So that, to me, he's fake news. He's the fake news. Everything else is real, and to him, he lives in this bubble, and nothing else is real. It's real, but he just doesn't want it to be real because he wants to get away with everything he wants to get away with. So I say him and Fox.
I think for me, it's when you like hear a story and then your head goes like this, like, wait. And then a million questions start, like, as a journalist, a million questions start going through your mind, like, wait, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 4. Like, what? That, to me, the telltale sign, because it's just such a lie and such an exaggeration of like certain things, or it's just frustrating. And typically, like, I do listen to Fox, and the reason why I do listen to Fox is because I want to hear what they're telling other people. So I listen to a lot of different networks, and it usually that happens. I'm like, wait, so what now? So that's usually my sign for fake news.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if people want to know what's fake news and what's not, look at the sourcing. Like, take it back to the basics. Where are these facts coming from? Who's saying them? Are they expert in their fields? Do they have some type of degree? I mean, if you do just a little bit of research on what you're actually reading, you can tell whether this is something legitimate or something that's made up based purely on the sourcing. So pay attention to not only what outlets you're reading, but who they're sourcing their information from, because I think that's the most important thing.
Right. I definitely agree with that. So retweet all of that, because that's very true. I think anything that comes out of number 45's mouth has to be questioned, period. So anything written based upon what he's saying, you should probably maybe try another news source on the subject. So that is where I feel like it's a telltale sign that it could be fake or exaggerated news. I definitely feel like news. I love media because media is a platform that does sway people. And with that being said, what are y'all thoughts about going to news for like social media news, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? Y'all feel like they're covering it the way they should?
I mean, here's the thing about social media news. On one end, I'm happy that one thing I do like about social media is that you're able to get it fast in your hand. So there are a lot of times you're not able to get it, but when you come on social media, there's a news tab and you're able to see what's going on. Where I don't like is that I feel like there's a lot of made up stuff on like the Facebooks, or someone's uncle posted it on Facebook, and then it becomes this weird meme that everyone's been passing around. Everyone's like, yeah, because I seen it on Facebook that my cousin at the Pentagon said that this, and it's like, no, that's not what's happening, guys. That's not real. So on one end, I am happy that, a lot of things that people don't know what's happening around the world, we're able to see it on social media, and I can find out the things that's happening in other places, like the other protests and what people are going through in China and what people are going through in London. But I just want, like what you ladies said, to like source it out and please pay attention to it, because a lot of it isn't real. And don't go off the memes. Like, please, like, if you're going to see something on social media, try to figure out if it's real or not, or try to figure out if it's on the news. That's my only thing about social media news.
I do like social media because, like, same thing that you were saying, Kiki, where it's just like it brings the bite-sized stuff. Like you're scrolling, and it really just depends on who you follow. But you're scrolling and you see certain stories pop up, and then it's up to you to take it with a grain of salt. And if you want to if you're going to use that information, then it's up to you to kind of dig some more. But just to kind of know the things that are going on, because often stuff that happens first, I usually hear on social media, and then I go I'll go to the source, or I'll search or all this other stuff. But I don't hear it like from the news first, or I don't hear it from TV first. I don't hear it from radio. It's always like when RBG died, that was on social media. And saying when Chadwick died, that was on social media. Somebody sent it to me. So it's just kind of like this. Social media is usually kind of the first place you hear something. And then I feel like if you're that person where you're the one who dispels information, or you're the one who kind of gives information to other folks because they trust you, then it's of you to kind of look for that information versus just seeing the tweets. Like, yeah, well, I think that's what they said. Like, it's kind of, you're almost that filter.
Yeah, I think that's so true because, I think social media is a great place to get information, but a lot of times people will just like scroll and be like, oh, interesting story. Oh, interesting headline, interesting tweet. But they don't even click on the story to see like what's actually happening. It's just like, oh, okay, little headline. And I don't think people get all the information they need that way. So while I think it's a great way to be like, here's an alert, here's what's happening, you should try to do a little bit more diligence to like actually research or read a few stories or talk to some experts or whoever you can talk to actually get the full scope of what's happening and not just a little blurb that you see on social.
Right. I can't lie. I think I use social media when I actually get on social media. I think I use that for my little blurbs, and then if I really feel like going into it, then I'll go research it. But because it's so quick, and I feel like our community is so big on social media, it's quick to get it. Do I always think a lot of their headlines can be clickbait sometimes? Yes. So that's the part I think I don't like about it as much. But what news source doesn't have the ability to have, the clickbait headlines? So I definitely go to it for a source, but is that my end all be all source? No, unless it's fat, like dry to the point. Like if it's like, and then I find it so funny. That when it comes to celeb news, it's kind of like the first to verify it. You go to TMZ, like you're like, oh shit, like TMZ.
No, if something's trending and yep, somebody dives off a bed.
Fact check it on TMZ.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'm guilty of that. I definitely, if someone passes away or if I see something trending, I'm like,
Yes.
no, TMZ has to confirm it first. And then I find myself then going to Google to see if like the main news people have hit it. And I'm like, okay, NBC's reporting it, ABC, but social media is right there. So I will look at what's trending and I'm like, oh, did TMZ confirm this?
Yeah,
Right.
That's exactly what happened when Kobe passed away. I think it was either the LA Times or somebody else did it right before TMZ. And I remember I was hiking. I'm like, nah. And then I saw TMZ report. I'm like, oh, this is
Real?
Yeah, this has happened.
It is.
It's
oh, go ahead, Kiki.
No, I was gonna say it's also funny because we all work in media, and it is one of those things too. Because I do remember like when Kobe died, I was at E at the time, so like we got those alerts in, and we started getting all these things. And I remember I was even questioning myself, like, all right, this is kind of tricky working on this side of it because it's a little tacky. You know what I'm saying? Like we were getting emails from like coroner's reports and all this other thing, and then I was like, I don't know if I like this.
Yeah.
So it is very interesting watching the media, and then for all of us working in the media, working behind the scenes.
Yeah, I definitely am not. I think the same thing when, because I used to work for TMZ, and when they had me go to the courthouse to film a black man in a jumpsuit, that was like that was just like when I knew it's like, this is not going to be my life. I was just heartbroken. And whether he deserved it or not, it was just kind of like, I can't do this.
Right. It does get hard sometimes. Is there a black media source that we can like go to that has like usually reports factual news like CNN or Fox?
Yes. You can go to TheGrio. But no, in all seriousness, TheGrio is Black owned. It's owned by Byron Allen. We have all Black staff, and we work really hard to tell the stories that matter to us in our community. And so I think I always encourage people outside of TheGrio, but like if you say, no one's covering this, I don't see it, what's happening? Like read your Black news outlets, read your local news. And those are people that need the money. They need the clicks. They need the views. They need, don't just consume ABC, NBC, and Fox and be like, nobody's covering it. There's plenty of smaller Black-owned or local outlets that are working really hard. So check those out.
Yes, I retweet that. I said, because I love TheGrio, and I look for TheGrio, Blavity, like I look for those Black like sources because that's one of those things where I'm like, I want to like start looking at my people and seeing what we're reporting on and our community. So TheGrio for me is like number one.
Look, the plugs. Yes, I love it. Speaking of and I feel like a lot of us work for Black outlets. Do y'all believe that our people, our community fully trust media though?
Hell no.
And I don't blame them in one aspect, like, because you look at the past and you look at like, I get why Black people are paranoid about a lot of things. I get why we're paranoid about media and government and laws, and I know because there's been a lot of things that's happened to our community where it's them having us come for an assignment and they're shooting us up with syphilis, or it's them portraying us in a bad light in the media. So I understand why some people don't trust it, but like Mariel says, like we have those outlets, and now it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't trust it, like let's build our own. We have TheGrio, we have Jasmine Brand, we have the Ball Alerts. Like it's out there. Let's create our own. So that way, like a lot of us work in production, and a lot of times we see that there's people writing stories that are not our color, but they were out here writing stories about us. But now we're starting to get people in those seats, those producers, those production companies. So I love seeing Black media outlets starting, because I think it was one of those things where Black people were like, I don't like how you guys are telling this story. So we're going to tell our own stories.
Right.
I love Boss Up. I love everything about them. I love their headlines. And I love us in a community. As a community, we all know what they're saying. So I just love that we're all starting to like see like the surgence of more Black media outlets. But I understand why Black people are paranoid about the media.
Right. Because they don't portray us in a good light. They sway it so much. It's like if you have white people out of control, it's, oh, they're just out of control. If you have Black people doing something that they think is out of control, it's a headline like, these thugs are taking over the world, terrorists. So it's always been swayed. I feel like the media bias has always been swayed against us, and the verbiage that is used is so I don't know the word I'm looking for right now, but it's so impactful to people. Like the reason why you're crossing the street and holding onto your bag because you see a black man in a hoodie is because the media told you that. The media told you that a black man in a hoodie was going to come and rob you and kill you. And I just feel like that's so crazy. So there are some, just to piggyback off of what you said, Mariel and Kiki, is I do believe that I'm not, and I know this is about to sound crazy, but I'm not the biggest news reader. I feel like it overwhelms me at times. So I don't really get on a lot of news websites. Like there are certain things where I'll check. I used to get on TMZ every morning, but I don't do that anymore either. So, so like now I realize, and I used to get on Media Takeout every day.
Girl, that's not even the news.
That's not the
news. And Sandra Rose and Media Takeout was my stuff.
But you know what? That's not the news, but there's so many people who read it and they think that that's the news. And I'm like, guys, that's not the news. So much more going on. But Media Takeout used to be the spot. And I remember I used to be like, because, you know, we all work in media. So my brain used to be like, oh, hell no. And I would do like my own research and find out like a lot of their stuff just wasn't true. And I'm like, I got to stay off of this because this is a toxic site. But a lot of people go to the TMZs. A lot of people go to those outlets instead of like looking up like the news and the local news actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Monique, you're probably witness to this the most. Like I'm always Googling something about somebody when I see something. Yeah. Like that's
let me find it. Let me Google it.
Yeah, let me Google. Let me find out because and that's the next frustrating part because like we all have cell phones and it's just kind of like all it takes is just you enter in Google or whatever your search engine is and you can find some answers to the questions or you can find some news that will actually like help you in the long run and you just taking everything at face value and it's incredibly frustrating. But I think there's people who ask questions like ourselves and even though it might be a big platform, a small platform or whatever, it's the people that are around us. It's almost up to us to kind of give them that information because the likelihood of them actually searching for it, I get so many conspiracy theories, dumb questions, like, oh well, she deserved it, or it's just it doesn't make it just baffles me. And then I unpack it for them. And then they see, okay, like I have to do that work. And you know what? If I have to do that to save one person to make sure that they're going to vote so my ass doesn't get deported, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah, like I can totally see why Black people are like iffy about the media. It's the same way, there's racism that's been in all our institutions. So like Nakia mentioned, healthcare and, being experimented on, education, all of these things. But I just stress to people, there are Black journalists, there are Black people in media that work really hard to tell our story. So while you might not trust general media, try to find it doesn't even have to be Black, but if that makes you more comfortable, try to find those reporters, those outlets, those producers that are trying to actively tell those stories, just like you would try to find a Black doctor or a Black teacher for your child. It's the same principle. So yeah, it's out there.
Right, definitely. I feel that way too. And to just wrap up the episode, ladies, let them know, I'll say 2 to 3 of your favorite Black outlets that you go to. We know you're at TheGrio, so we all gonna say TheGrio, okay? We all gonna start there. So 2 or 3 outlets that you feel like our queens or our fans can go to, our listeners can go to and start picking up our Black news and making that their go-to.
I like.
You want to start? Oh, TK, go ahead.
I like Huffington Report's Black Voices. That's a really good one. And oftentimes where a lot of the bigger outlets, I use that in quotations because that's a whole setup in itself. They have like a Black community part of it, but sometimes, you know, a lot of people didn't know that Huffington Post had a Black Voices section. Sometimes it's just buried. So, you know, and there are amazing writers that write for that. So I do like reading their stuff as well. And then of course I have to shout out to Jasmine Brand. But I like seeing different, especially Black outlets, highlight stuff that Black folks are doing. So I'm here for it all, especially the ones that just do. They're just on social media. They just have an Instagram page. You know, they don't even have like a website type stuff. And how their stories started, I'm definitely a fan of all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so obviously I would say TheGrio, of course, being biased because I work there. But outside of TheGrio, I would agree that HuffPost Black Voices is a really good outlet. I know some people that work there, and they really try to get out the real, quote unquote, real news. And then I would say if you're looking for Black entertainment content, you should definitely check out Shadow and Act. They have a lot of information about who's starring in what, and they also work really hard to get the stories out there that maybe the Hollywood Reporter or Variety is not that interested in, because it's about a smaller Black actor, actresses who land a role. So I think Shadow and Act and Black Voices and TheGrio.
Yes, retweet all that. I would say definitely TheGrio. For entertainment and for news, it's Jasmine Brand. Black Voices. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But same thing like Mariel said, like Shadow, what's their name again?
Shadow and Act, yeah.
Shadow, they're really good because they, like you said, like Variety may not mention it, but they will mention it. So that's why I really, really like them. But definitely TheGrio and like Black Voices is really, really good for like what we're doing in our community. But I also do appreciate, like, if I do watch CNN, I love seeing the Black talking heads on there, because I try to pay attention to see who's who and who's the Black journalist. And then I follow them on their social media pages, and then I take it from there. So I may not be an avid CNN watcher, but I will try to listen to like the Black talking heads and to see like who's into politics and to see like the news that they're giving out. And then I'll try to see like who has their own show and maybe their own podcast.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. Like when Angela Rye and, other Black advocates go on CNN, I try to always watch that because they do get the platform to really speak up and speak out on issues that are heavy for a lot of people to talk about. But I second that. TheGrio is good. I like that it's very clean. I like the stories of mix of entertainment and political, across the board. So I do like TheGrio. And also I love Blavity. Blavity is one of them that I really, really like as well. It is kind of a comparison to TheGrio, but like you said, with Shadow and Act or whatever, with that platform, it'll bring in smaller stories that may happen in the Black community and things like that. So I really love Blavity for that as well. And then I have to shout out my girl Raquel at Baller Alert, because my entertainment news, I love Baller Alert.
They're great.
They give good, not the shade room headlines, and then they have really good writers over there that are entertainment, but it's also really good at telling you the story. Good storytellers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When it comes to entertainment news. So yeah, those are my little few to like wrap up. But yes, thank you, ladies, for our media coverage. Bias. We can no longer. Are we allowed to call it fake news, Kiki?
No.
Make sure you watch out.
Don't put me with that word. I can't believe I said
my
that.
gosh. Queens, this wraps up our episode. Let them know where they can find you. Mariel, really let them know where they can find you, everywhere they can find you.
Guys, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mariel_Turner. That's Mariel. You can also find my work on TheGrio.com and also on the Dear Culture podcast that we host on our website.
Nice. You guys can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom.
And you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad.
And you can find me on IG at It's Monique Loveless. And we thank you so much for having you, Mariel. We really appreciate you coming in. We shout you out. We're looking at you at TheGrio. Yes, make sure y'all go to the podcast. Make sure y'all go look at her stories. She is the head up over there, the senior. You're the senior producer over there, right?
Yeah, senior editor. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Senior editor. Okay, our black queen.
That's excellent.
So right. So thank you for coming and joining us. The thank you queens for listening, and catch us every Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, wherever. We are pretty much everywhere now. Also, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Queens Uncut, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Black Queens Uncut. We love our Queendom family, so rate us, write a review, and you can donate if you loved this episode or any other episode. Thank you so much, and we'll chat with you queens later.
Bye. Bye.